Have you ever felt like your energy is fading faster than it used to? Like the world keeps spinning faster, but your heart just wants a little peace and quiet? You're not alone. There comes a time in life when we start to realize we've spent so many years running, building, worrying, fixing, that we forgot how to just be. We were told to stay busy, stay useful, stay productive, but nobody ever said, it's okay to slow down now. But I'm here to tell you, it is not only okay to slow down, it's one of the smartest, most freeing things you can do. You see, in our younger years, we believed that the more we did, the more we achieved, the more fulfilled we'd be. And yes, there was a time when striving had its place. But now, after decades of responsibilities and giving so much of yourself to others, you've earned something better than busyness. You've earned peace, real peace. The kind that doesn't come from doing more, but from letting go. This video is about something most people don't talk about, how becoming lazy. Yes, lazy, in certain areas of life can actually make you happier. Not careless, not passive, but wise, selective, intentional. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what happens when you finally give yourself permission to stop pushing in all the wrong places and instead start living lighter, freer, more peacefully than you've ever lived before. Let's start with the first thing you can afford to get a little lazy about: what other people think of you. Now, I know that might sound easier said than done. From the time we were children, we were taught to be good, to be polite, to do what's expected. We worried about saying the right thing, wearing the right outfit, keeping our opinions soft enough so nobody got offended. And even now, after all these years, there's a part of us that still holds on to that old fear. What if they don't approve? But let me ask you something. How many moments have you missed out on just because you were worried what someone might think? How many times have you silenced your own needs to keep the peace, or said yes when you desperately wanted to say no? What did all that people-pleasing really bring you? Here's the truth, and I say this with a full heart. The people who truly matter in your life, the ones who love you for you, they don't need you to perform or pretend. They don't need you to act a certain way or agree with every opinion. They just need you to be real. And the rest? The critics, the gossipers, the folks who never really saw you clearly to begin with? Let them go. Their approval was never worth your peace. It's time to put down that heavy burden. You don't have to impress anyone anymore. You don't have to explain yourself, justify your choices, or wear a mask. The older you get, the more precious your time and energy become. And trust me when I say, worrying about someone else's opinion is one of the fastest ways to waste both. So be lazy about their thoughts. Let them think what they want. You focus on what you think of you. Do you respect who you are becoming? Do you feel proud of the life you're living? Are you being kind to yourself? Because at the end of the day, the only approval that brings true peace is your own. Now let's talk about something else we've all wasted too much energy on: arguments and drama. Oh, how many hours have we spent trying to prove a point? Trying to convince someone that we're right, or that they misunderstood, or that they should change their ways. And if we're being honest, how often did it actually work? It's a tough pill to swallow, but here it is. Most people don't argue to understand. They argue to win. And the more emotionally attached they are to their opinions, the less likely they are to hear yours. So what happens? We keep explaining, keep defending, keep raising our voices, until we're drained and frustrated and nothing has changed. But as we get older, we begin to see things differently. We start to notice that peace is more important than being right, that not every battle is worth fighting, that sometimes the best thing you can say is nothing at all. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to react to every insult or respond to every slight. You can nod, smile, and move on. Not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to value your peace over your pride. Let them believe what they want. Let them argue with the wind if they must. You get to sit in your stillness, sip your tea, and enjoy the serenity of not needing to prove anything to anyone. Imagine being like a calm lake. When someone throws a rock of criticism or misunderstanding, you don't have to ripple with reaction. You can just let that rock sink. And when it does, you're still whole, still clear, still at peace. That kind of strength, that quiet wisdom, it doesn't come from shouting the loudest. It comes from knowing yourself well enough to walk away when you need to. Now let me ask you this. How many times have you tried to fix someone else's problems, only to end up exhausted yourself? We've all been there. We see someone struggling, and our instinct is to jump in and help. We offer advice, solutions, even sacrifice our own needs just to make sure they're okay. And while our hearts may be in the right place, the truth is, this constant fixing comes at a cost. It costs us our energy, our time, sometimes even our health. But worse than that, it can also rob the other person of their own strength. You see, growth often comes from struggle. Like a butterfly breaking free from its cocoon, people sometimes need to go through their challenges to build their wings. When we always step in, always carry the load for them, we might be keeping them from the very lesson they need. Now, this doesn't mean we stop caring. Not at all. Compassion is still a beautiful thing. But there's a difference between offering support and taking on someone else's life as if it's your responsibility. You can hold out your hand without jumping into the river with them. You can be a safe place, a guiding light, a voice of kindness. But you don't have to be the fixer, the savior, the solution to every problem. And when you finally let go of that role, something magical happens. You free yourself, and you empower others to find their own way. So be lazy about fixing everything. Not because you don't care, but because you finally understand. Some burdens aren't yours to carry. Some paths aren't yours to walk. And that's okay. You've spent enough years holding up the world. Now it's time to hold space for yourself. Let's take a deep breath together. You've already done so much in your life. You've given, supported, nurtured. And now, more than ever, you deserve a life that feels light, peaceful, authentic. And we're just getting started. You know, something beautiful begins to happen when you start letting go of the need to fix everything and everyone. You begin to notice how much lighter you feel, how much calmer your days become. And once that peace starts to take root, it opens the door to something else. Freedom. A kind of freedom you might not have felt since you were young. But it's not the freedom of youth, it's the deeper kind. The kind that comes with wisdom. The kind that comes when you stop chasing things that were never yours to hold in the first place. And that brings us to another thing you might want to get a little lazy about. Chasing perfection and carrying around regret. Now, I know how tempting it can be to look back at your life and focus on the what-ifs. What if I had done that differently? What if I hadn't made that mistake? What if I'd spoken up, or kept quiet, or taken a different path? But here's the thing. There's not a single person alive who hasn't made wrong turns, who hasn't stumbled, messed up, said the wrong thing, or missed a golden opportunity. You know why? Because we're all human. And being human means being imperfect. Perfection is one of the greatest illusions we're sold. From the moment we were old enough to hold a pencil, we were taught to aim for straight A's, for tidy lives, for flawless choices. But nobody told us that the real beauty of life lives in the mess. That the most meaningful lessons often come from falling flat on our faces and figuring out how to get back up. When you carry regret, it's like holding a heavy bag of stones. Every mistake, every missed chance, it weighs you down. But the past is done. It's already written. No amount of thinking or wishing can rewrite it. What you can change, though, is how you carry it. You can set that bag down. Not because everything you did was perfect, but because you've already learned from it. Because it shaped you. Because it brought you here. Think about it. If you had never made that mistake, would you have gained the wisdom you have now? If everything had gone smoothly, would you be able to relate to others with such empathy, such understanding? Your scars are not signs of failure. They're proof you lived. They're reminders that you were brave enough to try, to care, to hope. So stop chasing some imaginary version of a flawless life and start embracing the perfectly imperfect one you've got. And while we're at it, let's talk about something else we've all collected too much of over the years. Stuff. Closets full of clothes we never wear. Drawers packed with things we forgot we even had. Decorations, gadgets, little trinkets and souvenirs from a life well lived, or maybe just well shopped. Now, there's nothing wrong with having nice things, but sometimes things start having us. They take up space in our homes, yes, but more importantly, they take up space in our minds. Have you ever looked around your house and felt overwhelmed? Not because it's messy, but because it's crowded? With things you don't use, don't need, maybe don't even like anymore? As we get older, something shifts. We begin to crave more room to breathe. Not just physically, but mentally and emotionally too. And that's where simplicity steps in. The less you own, the lighter your spirit becomes. There's a reason monks live with only the bare essentials. It's not because they don't like comfort. It's because they've discovered that peace lives in space, not in stuff. So what if you became a little lazier about accumulating? What if, instead of bringing more in, you started letting some of it go? Open that closet. Pull out the jacket you haven't worn in 5 years. The books you keep saying you'll read but never do. The decorations that no longer feel like you. Let them go. Donate them. Gift them. Release them. And with each thing you let go of, imagine yourself reclaiming a little more peace. Because at the end of the day, you won't remember the shoes or the fancy plates or that expensive blender you never used. You'll remember moments, people, laughter, the way the breeze felt on your skin during an afternoon nap, the warmth of your dog curled up at your feet, a quiet evening with a cup of tea and your favorite music playing low in the background. Those are the riches that truly matter. And you don't need a full house to feel full in your heart. Now let's touch on something I know many of us have struggled with, trying to make everyone happy. Maybe you've spent decades putting others first, making sure the kids were okay, your spouse, your friends, your neighbors. You stayed late. You said yes when you really wanted to say no. You cooked meals, cleaned up messes, smiled through tired eyes. And listen, there is a beauty in being generous and being kind. But there's also a danger in forgetting yourself along the way. People-pleasing might sound like love, but if it's draining you, if it's leaving you empty, then it's not love. It's sacrifice. And you, my friend, were not born to spend your entire life living up to someone else's expectations. It's time now. Time to stop trying to be everything for everyone. Time to start listening to what you need, what fills your soul. And here's the amazing part. The people who genuinely care about you, they won't be upset when you put yourself first. They'll be proud of you. They'll understand. And the ones who don't? The ones who guilt you? Who expect you to keep giving until you're depleted? Let them go. Gently, kindly, but let them go. You have nothing to prove. No role to maintain. No medal to earn for being the most selfless person in the room. Your joy matters. Your peace matters. You matter. Start saying no when your heart says no. Say yes only when it feels like a full, joyful yes. Walk away from anything or anyone that drains your light. Walk toward what nourishes it. Because you deserve to spend these years not bending, not hiding, not suppressing, but fully, unapologetically living. You've spent so long being everything to everyone. Isn't it time to be everything to yourself? There's something powerful that happens when you stop trying to please everyone. You begin to hear your own voice again. You begin to trust your instincts, follow your curiosity, rest when you need rest, and give when it comes from joy, not obligation. And that brings us to something else worth slowing down for: the pace of life itself. Somewhere along the way, we were taught to keep moving, to always be doing, to check off the next goal, the next achievement, the next responsibility. We raced through our 20s trying to build something. We powered through our 30s and 40s, juggling careers, families, mortgages, meals, and meetings. Even in our 50s and 60s, there was always something more to do. But now, here you are. And maybe for the first time in your life, you get to choose a different speed. You don't have to rush anymore. Life is not a race. It's not a contest. There is no prize for the busiest person, no award for having the fullest calendar. In fact, the real joy, the kind that fills your soul, often comes in the quietest, simplest moments. Have you ever noticed how sweet your morning coffee tastes when you're not in a hurry? Or how calming it is to sit by the window and just watch the light move across the floor? Or how deep a conversation can feel when you're not thinking about the next thing on your list? God wisdom teaches us something beautiful. When drinking tea, just drink tea. In other words, be fully present with whatever you're doing. If you're walking, just walk. If you're eating, just eat. If you're resting, rest fully, without guilt. The moment you stop rushing, you begin to experience life again. Not as a blur, but as a series of small, precious moments. You hear the birds. You notice the way the breeze moves the leaves. You feel more connected to the world around you. And maybe most importantly, you begin to feel more connected to yourself. So take those long walks with no destination in mind. Pause to smell the flowers, not just because it's a saying, but because they really are that beautiful. Watch the rain. Lie down in the grass. Let time stretch out before you like a wide, welcoming path. You're not behind. You're exactly where you're meant to be. And speaking of time, let's talk about one of the most common things that steals our peace, especially as we age: worrying about the future. It creeps in at night, doesn't it? Those quiet little fears. What if I get sick? What if I run out of money? What if I become a burden? They swirl around, growing louder the longer we sit with them. And before we know it, the calm of the evening turns into a storm of anxiety. But here's the truth: the future isn't something we can control. No matter how much we plan, how much we prepare, life has a way of surprising us. Sometimes in ways that hurt, but sometimes in ways that heal. You've already faced so much in your life: losses, setbacks, unexpected twists. And yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still showing up. That strength, that quiet resilience, it's yours. And it's proof that whatever comes, you will face it with grace, just as you always have. Worrying won't change tomorrow. It won't stop a bad thing from happening, and it won't make a good thing come faster. What it will do is steal today. It'll cloud the beauty that's right in front of you: the taste of your favorite meal, the joy in a grandchild's laugh, the comfort of a cozy evening at home. So what if you became a little lazier about worrying? Not careless, not reckless, just gentler? What if, when a worry pops up, you simply noticed it and let it float by like a cloud? What if you tied it to a leaf in your mind and watched it drift gently down a stream? There's a deep kind of peace that comes from surrender, not giving up, but letting go. Trusting that whatever comes, you'll meet it with the strength and wisdom you've earned over a lifetime. Let the future be what it will be. Don't borrow tomorrow's troubles. Instead, give yourself the gift of today, of presence, of noticing the way the afternoon light spills across your table, or how your favorite song still makes you smile. This is the joy you've worked for. Not in the big flashy moments, but in the stillness, the softness, the quiet knowing that you are okay. You've spent so many years carrying weight, the expectations, the fears, the responsibilities. But now you get to choose what you carry and what you let go of. You get to be lazy about the things that don't serve you anymore. You get to rest, to laugh, to sit in silence, to be fully, unapologetically yourself. Because growing old isn't about fading away. It's about coming home to who you really are. It's about peeling back the layers, the pressure, the noise, and rediscovering the joy of simply being alive. You don't need more titles. You don't need more stuff. You don't need more approval. You already have everything you need. You are enough. So go ahead. Let go of the rush, the worry, the perfection, the pressure to be anything other than exactly who you are in this moment. Take a breath. Feel the warmth of it in your chest. That, right there, that's life. That's peace. That's freedom. And if any of this touched your heart, share it with someone you love. Leave a comment and tell us what you're ready to let go of. What you're ready to embrace. Because your story matters. Your voice matters. And there are people out there who need to hear what you've learned. If you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more gentle wisdom, more reminders that life can be simple and beautiful right where you are. And as we close, just remember, the happiest days aren't behind you. They're waiting quietly, right here in the present, like a gentle friend inviting you to stay a while. Here's to living lightly, loving deeply, and letting go with grace. You've earned it. You are ready. And most of all, you are not alone. Until next time, may you walk gently, breathe deeply, and feel joy in every breath you take.